Oxygenating. Fancy. It's so. It's so. What? What he say? Y'all keep it there. Y'all know I ain't gonna let y'all stay there, but it's okay. Take it there. Take it there. We good, Aki? All right. Can I be heard on the interwebs? Apparently not. Anybody got nothing to say?
Ken, you can be heard, Moray.
So. They're alive. They're alive. All right. I'll keep the traditions going and let somebody else read the rules. Nobody want to read them because nobody want to follow them.
Rules. Rules that will be used for all, emphasize all lessons. Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. In brackets, use the mic to speak. There is a feature on Zoom in the meeting room where you can raise your hand if you have a question or statement. Also, here in the assembly, if you have a question or statement, raise your hand and speak into the mic for everyone to hear. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. All questions, answers, statements must be on the topic. You can only answer one time per question or statement. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. For those that are in the room, you also have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. There are mics that will be passed around that can be used to ask or answer those questions. All statements in the room must be limited to 20 seconds. The microphones can be used to share with others that may not hear you online. These rules are due to time and the recording or recordings of lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the moray enough time to complete the lesson. This will be mixed with discussions to help build one another. Please do not abuse the time. I yield.
Next week and just read them myself. I apologize. My bad. My bad. Can I read this part for me though? I mean, you made it, so I'll let you read it.
It's a dual thing here.
Warning.
I didn't do that.
Matthew 6.
He got to do all of that. He got to read it. That's the whole point of this thing.
Reading between the lines.
This is going to be a long day. I want to take this time to explain that this lesson and the lessons thereafter are not based on any one individual, whether in this assembly, locally, or abroad. These lessons were not developed by myself alone. Yes, the Father has something, if not all, to do with them. If these lessons hit certain points that you feel or believe have something to do with you, all praise to the Father. Take that knowledge and apply the solution to your life. Do not take anything personal and miss the message that is being given to help solidify your salvation.
So
Matthew 6.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I don't think we're going to have a Hebrew class today.
Oh, a nice discussion. It's that time.
I wore my nice top so I could be worthy of this wonderful new podium that we have today.
See red, y'all know what that means.
Oh, my goodness. Wait a minute.
Yeah, definitely no Hebrew class today. All right, so the lesson is titled Love All of Me. I'll get to that part. All right, so again, there's no Love All of Me part 1, part 2, or part 3. I think this will be a standalone lesson. However, I think there will be an ongoing theme for the month.
He got his emotions all up in the lights.
If only y'all could see what was going on in this room right now. All right, however, the overall theme that will probably be followed this month is going to be about confrontation and conflict. All right, so keep that in mind as we go through this lesson about love. All right, so 1 Corinthians 13:4, right? Love is patient, it's kind, love does not envy, love does not boast, it is not puffed up, it does not rejoice over the unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It covers all, believes all, expects all, and endures all. We all agree, right?
Yes, endures all.
All right, let's hear something else good. 2 John 1:5-6. And now I ask you, Kyria, not as though I wrote a fresh command to you, but that which we have had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is the love, that we walk according to his commands. And this is the command that, as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. So we have an option to love each other, right?
Since I want to be obedient to the rules, I got my mic.
So-
I agree with you. We should. I think the problem is the last part, how to walk it out.
How to walk it out. We're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Okay, I'm mute.
Yeah, just keep the mic by yourself. Just save yourself. Relax your shoulders. Just keep the mic with you. Don't even have to reach for it. All right, so let's learn some more about love, right? 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear holds punishment, and he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. If someone says, I love Elohim, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For the one not loving his brother from whom he has seen, how is he able to love Elohim who he has not seen, right? Yeah, that's a whole other lesson for a whole other day. All right, let's talk about love a little bit more, right? 1 John 3:17-19. Whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his tender affections from him, how does the love of Elohim stay in him? My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And by this we know that we are of the truth and shall set our hearts at rest before him, right? So it's good enough to just say, I love you. That's it, right? Probably some things we have to do, right? But before we go any further, we're always telling people that we love them, right? But are our deeds always matching our words? He didn't even need a mic for that. Y'all online heard that cackle. Right? So our deeds don't always match our words. All right, John 15:12. This is my command. Whose command is this? Who's that? Y'all gonna make him talk in the microphone 17 times if y'all don't follow the rules. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my
Big John.
Go ahead, Emma.
That was Yahusha.
All right, so the Mashiach gave us this command, right? The command is this, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing. But I've called you friends, for all teachings which I heard from my Father, I have made known to you. Let's look at 13. Yahuwah said, I want your opinion on this. It says, no one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. What's that term, lay down his life, mean to you?
Die.
That's typically what we think, right? That's not always the case. All right?
That's fine.
It doesn't require you jumping on a live grenade to prove your love for somebody, all right? Go ahead, sis.
Okay, when I think of lay down, I'm thinking like submit to one another.
Okay. Submission is good. No comments from the peanut gallery. Matthew 22, 37 and 39. Yahushua said to him, you shall love Yahuwah Elohim. Halfway. No, I didn't say that? Okay. You shall love Yahuwah Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your mind. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So from 37 to 38, 39, we can figure out that it's up to us to decide what love looks like. Right? That's what it says? So what do we get out of 37 and 39 instead? Go ahead, Emma.
I see that, okay, he telling you how you should love. And it's no stipulation on that love that you love your neighbor. Because if you don't like yourself, you tell me you're going to hate the neighbor?
Go ahead. Toda.
If you love him, you keep his commandments, and his commandments are that you love your neighbor.
Okay. Maury, you gonna say something?
Thank you for allowing me to say some comments. I agree with everybody that they share. And I get the same, I concur with them saying it this way, that when Mashiach quoted that, he was quoting from the Torah. Mm-hmm. So Torah defines what love is. Mm-hmm. So since it defines it by us doing what the word says, then that tells Yah that we love him.
Right. So love doesn't come from what we think it should be, and how we want to do it. Let's look at Romans 12, 9 to 13. No, I promised I wouldn't say nothing when I got fussed at about my slides. I'm going to keep my word to my ak. Let love be without hypocrisy. Shrink from what is wicked. That was an inside joke. Cling to what is good. In brotherly love, tenderly loving towards one another, in appreciation, giving preference to each other, not idle in duty, ardent in ruach, serving the master, rejoicing in the expectancy, enduring under pressure, continuing steadfastly in prayer, imparting to the needs of the set-apart ones, pursuing kindness towards strangers. So from this, we can see that love is totally selfish. No. Love is all about how we feel and what's doing best for us. I mean, that's what I got out of it. You could say, what'd you get out of 9 to 13 there?
Let's see.
Just an overall theme. I don't need nothing specific. Just what's the overall theme you got?
Well, this is absent of yourself. This is all towards someone else. This is the love that you should show to others.
Hold on. Wait. Hold that. Hold your mute. Hold your mute. We got one in the back. Go ahead, sis.
What I'm saying is that that what Yahusha is saying is that there is no degrees. It's either left or it's right. We create the degrees in between on what parts we want to do. That's what I'm seeing. So he's telling you this is the standard. There is no exception to that. This is how you do it to get to where you need to be with me.
Okay. So you said there's a he and there's a we. Who's greater, the he or the we? Microphone.
Greater is he that is in me
Okay.
than he that is in the world.
Everybody agrees with that, right? Pretty straightforward. Did you have something? Or you just in case?
Also, this is so weak. Okay. Also, don't let it be fake. Don't let it be fake. Don't be pretending that you love or just putting on an act about that love. I'm putting on a show for everybody for the moment, knowing I really can't stand the sight of you.
All right. Let me say this. I agree with everything y'all have said. Have we ever considered that we really can't stand the sight of somebody, but we don't actually show that to them? We can actually love somebody and care for them and still not treat them like we actually care about them. We can love somebody, care about them, and not treat them that way. Unconsciously, though, we're not really actively realizing that we're doing it. But I'm going to show you how as we go forward.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead, Aki.
the other part is that, as the Moray shared, the hypocrisy. So we know that part deal with acting, right? But I think some of our challenges, sometimes we get idle. So it says not idle in duty. Sometimes we brush over there. There's a consistency that has to take place in it. And I think the other part that we need to understand is under pressure. Sometimes when we're under pressure, we lose the way of showing that love. So the hypocrisy comes in the pressure part sometimes. So that's what I would say.
All good answers and correct. In the back, Iman, what you got for us?
But the part about adorned, that means passionate.
You mean
Just
passion?
passion. And we should be passionate about the things that we would like other people to be for us, that we show. So we want it back, that passion.
So hold the microphone. The goal is to be ardent, right? What's the opposite of that?
Inordinate.
Right? To be unpassionate, right?
Unpassionate, yeah.
Those of us that are unpassionate, what's the Most High do to us? We're lukewarm. How many of us in our love towards our loved ones have become a little lukewarm? Your silence says it all. It's okay. I self-snitch all the time. Y'all ain't got to snitch on yourselves. It's okay. All right, let's look at some more. Yirmiyahu 31:3. Yahuwah appeared to me from afar, saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I shall draw you with loving commitment. I'm going to build you again, and you shall be rebuilt, O maiden of Israel. Again, you shall take up your tambourines and go forth in the dances of those who rejoice. So the love is supposed to endure, right? With that same ardent ruach that we started with, we should be that way in the middle. We should be that way to the end. But we're probably not like that all the way through. Some of us get a red light for that. All right, so safe to say, we have a pretty good understanding of love and the importance of loving one another, right? Safe to say, right? Does anyone think that we should not love one another? Nobody would say that, right? All right, you ain't got to look back. Nobody raised their hand. It's all right. All right.
Can I make a statement?
Yes.
Love gets you to the kingdom.
Love will get you to the kingdom. But today, we're going to focus on love towards one another. Love towards one another. But I also mentioned that the overall theme of this month was going to be what? Nope. That love is today. What's the overall theme of the month? The microphone.
Confrontation.
Confrontation and conflict. Can you have confrontation without conflict? No, you need to say in the microphone so everybody hear it. You're going to say the right answer, so let everybody hear it. Absolutely, absolutely. You can have a confrontation without having a conflict. But how many of us don't like confrontation? A lot of us don't want confrontation because we associate confrontation with conflict, but they're not the same. And if we want to have that true love, I guarantee you there's some things you're going to have to confront. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What was the lesson today? What was the title of today's lesson? Who can recall? Now, Mana would know if she had her notes, but she's not with us today. Go ahead.
I don't know.
Oh, she was aiming the mic at you. I thought you had something to say. My fault. Yes. What's the title of today's lesson?
Love all of me.
Love all of me, right? That's a good thing, right? John Legend got a song about it. All of me wants all of you, right? But how many of us are really, truly good at giving all of ourselves to somebody? All right. I need one brave spouse in the room and one brave spouse online to tell me how they want their spouse to love them. Stop it. Go ahead, Aki.
I was telling my Isha I want her to love me the way Yahuwah written it in scriptures.
Okay. According to the scripture, based on Yahuwah's version, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hold that one. All right, I need a brave spouse online. Just one, just one. Y'all said y'all could hear me, so I know y'all heard the question. So when we speak, we'll be online. Is it the same? Love. Someone not in the room. Yeah. I guess ain't no spouse online. No worries. No worries.
Okay.
Oh,
Shalom.
that's a brief answer to the question. Go ahead.
I asked, well, we've agreed that for her to love me is with reverence and respect.
Reverence and respect. That's told. That's told. Stop it. All right. Can we hide? You said love him like Yahuwah, right? Can we hide anything from Yahuwah? How many of us, at some point, some of us have been married for a short time, some of us have been married for a long time, have tried to hide ourselves from our spouse?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Of all the questions I asked today, that one got the quickest and the loudest response. Amazing. So I want y'all to be just as loud and just as quick to answer this question. Is that Tob? Amazing how that works. Y'all all just said, yeah, I heard, ooh, yeah. Oh, wait, but that ain't right. I ain't gonna say that part.
No.
It's natural and we understand why we do these things. We're honest with ourselves, but it's not the right thing to do. All right? So we can talk about that today. All right. So how many of us, we first met our loved one, we start off by sharing our trauma, our mental health issues, those parts of us that we're working to improve. I mean, some of us might have done that. How many of us said, hey, I'm really feeling you and I hope we keep this thing going. I got abandonment issues. A lot of us left that last part out, right? Hey, I'm falling for you. I never had someone in my life who told me I was good enough. So when you tell me I'm good looking, I'm not really gonna believe you. We probably didn't say that up front, right? Hey, let's make this exclusive. It's just me and you. Oh, by the way, it's just me and you. We're gonna make this thing work. But I was just diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But I'm in a good place when I keep up with my meds. We're all that open with people that we truly love, right? We just let them know up front. Hey, my last relationship didn't work, but it was actually my fault.
Now, I know that with the bipolar, right? So I know how many times, because this is like a slight form of it in the walk. So a lot of times when everything's going well, we call each other by our Hebrew names. But when we hot and heavy with somebody, all of a sudden the Gentile name come out quick. So now you're not talking to the Hebrew person. You talking to the one you said the one you've originally married. That's the bipolar part. That's the bipolar part.
I'm not talking to Abraham, I'm talking to Abraham.
All right. So how many of us decided this is the one, you're the one I want? And they were like, baby, I got to have you. But I got trust issues. Baby, it's just me and you, but I got a controlling spirit. Have, hold, honor, and love, but I got anger issues. Are we this upfront with our loved ones that we tell them up front what we're working with?
Are we talking about at the beginning of the relationship?
The moment that you decide this is the one I want to be with, you let them know.
At the beginning?
Mm-hmm. No.
No. Ain't nobody saying that.
Nobody's saying that up front, right?
No. Because it ain't gonna make it.
Okay.
We'll get to that part. Hold on.
I told my Ish that I had 2 relationships before him, and I have issues, and some of it was not my fault.
You told him that before you said I do, right?
Yes.
That's a good thing. Go ahead, Aki.
Right, but the thing is,
I got you, Caleb.
There are some things that we will share, but if we're saying all, not all. When we first get started, some things you need to make sure that person is the one for you before you start telling about the other side of you. Right. You know what I mean? Or you thought that you were no longer that person until it comes out, and then you say, this triggered something and brought back my old way. So sometimes they may do this unknowingly because they feel like they're no longer like that because it hasn't happened since that time.
Cool. That's one way, right?
When I met you, you made me better.
You made me better. I love that one. Now, like he was alluding to, whose hand is that? Benedetto, what you got?
Hey, Shalom. I found that my marriage exposed a lot of those things that I did not know was there. Just being in the walk. So it kind of exposed and brought to the surface things that I didn't know were there. So it wasn't necessarily that you would keep it from your spouse. It's more like it exposed a lot of those ways. And then now it's surfacing, and it's been surfacing in front of the other person. And now you feel humbled or sometimes ashamed, and sometimes you don't want to deal with it. So you deny it, I guess.
Toda, I appreciate that, Toda, for your honesty, especially that last part, right? Even now, I'm not saying, well, I tell people up front I got trust issues before I pick up the check on the first date. I'm gonna let you know. Now, Hey, I'm keeping.
I got a question.
I'm just letting you know.
I got a question. I got a question.
Y'all know me. I ain't got no problem.
Hey, hold on. I got
Go
a
ahead, Akeem.
question. Now, was that the way it was with the very first lady, or did that progress over time?
Oh, I've been telling people that from day one. I'll let you know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, like Kanisha said, there's certain things that I didn't recognize about myself until one or two relationships didn't work. But once I recognized what it was, number 3, I'm gonna let you know up front, right? Well, I recognized some of my issues pretty early. It didn't take my 20 years to recognize some of the flaws I got. I mean, I ain't that dim-witted or that proud, right? All right. Hey, but I mean, think about it. Think about it. Let's just say that you know that you're coming from a place where you just got out of 3 relationships in a row and everybody got a type, right? My type just happened to be people with anger issues. Do you want to do that the 4th time? Right? So if this person tells you up front they have anger issues, you should have the right to say, this ain't going to be the one for me, right? It's not fair for them to just know they have this of them, not share it with you, and then backdoor their way into a relationship with you, right? You want people to be upfront with you. You want to have those conversations. You want to confront the issue without it having a conflict, right? Now, again, it takes time. You don't just open up to everybody, but when you realize it's getting serious, you have an obligation to be your true self, especially if you want them to love you. Then be you. All right. So, why aren't we always upfront with our issues? Why do we withhold ourselves? We know that this is the person. This is the person I want to be with. I want this to work for the long haul, and yet we still do things that could hinder that. I don't know if I want you to go first.
What it is I would say a couple of things. One is either they're embarrassed or ashamed, or they believe that they know that this might push that person away. So they hide it from them because they like the person and they want them exactly that bad so that they won't share certain things with them.
Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense for them to do that, right? What was you going to say?
I agree with everything that the Morey said, but that's good for someone. That's okay for that instance, but some people don't think they have an issue. So they don't expose what they don't know because they think everything is all good.
That's a whole separate conversation.
Okay, well, I yield.
That absolutely happens. That absolutely happens. But that's a separate situation. If you don't know it, then how could you express something that you don't know, right? We got a hand online. Yakaria?
Shalom. I would say that for myself personally, although my each knows as much as I could think to share, and things have come up, I think for me personally, I felt at a time that it was easier to hold on to my trauma than it was to accept love. And I had to learn how to break that cycle. I yield.
She's still working on it. She's still working on it, right? Now, remember though, we said we didn't want to tell everybody or tell that person everything we were dealing with because we wanted that person, right? But did we want that person for the short term or the long term? If we want them for the long term, do we think holding this stuff from them is going to keep them around for the long term? We understand why we do it, but is it the correct thing to do? It's absolutely not the right way to do things. Now, he mentioned 2 things, right? But there's 2 things that are at the root of that pride and that issues of why you don't want to trust people, right? It usually comes down to pride and fear, right? So pride will keep us from admitting our faults. We want to keep up an image, and pride keeps us wanting to control the way others view us. Because if I show them who I truly am, they might look at me a certain way. and I'm not willing to give them that authority, right? But do we have the right to trick people into loving us? No. Pride keeps us from just being ourselves and then allowing Yahuwah to bring people in and out of our lives. We're trying to hold on to people because that's what we want. That's a whole other lesson. All right? We want to control the outcome. So we withhold and avoid anything that will not make us desirable. But that's a huge assumption because that person might totally be okay with it. I can deal with that. They didn't, like you said, they didn't get the choice to decide for themselves. And we do not have the right to do that to people, especially someone we say that we love. They have the right to make an informed decision. That's what you said without a mic, so it really don't count. But no, I want to hear your thoughts on it. Go ahead, share it with us. Yeah.
Saying in a past relation, I actually said that. Like, I should have had the choice, the option to make this choice.
Absolutely. I've been there. Yep, we've all been there. And that's almost worse than the stuff you found out later. Like, I got duped into this. Like, you should have just told me that up front, and I would have had the choice to walk away, or I might have just chosen to stay. You don't even know. And the worst part is, we'll never know, neither one of us, because it wasn't given the chance. All right, let's go back to some verses we talked about, right? This is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. And the first thing we said about laying down his life was about dying, right? It's not a literal death to lay down your life. Nuance, there's a little nuance to it. It is. Right? You got to put away what you want and consider that other person. Because when you start hiding stuff, are you considering that other person? Or have you made it all about yourself? You've made it about yourself. You didn't lay down your life. You made your life far more important than their life. You took away their right to choose, which we just said a few moments ago was a terrible thing to do, right? All right. There's no pride and manipulation in our love for Yahuwah. We're supposed to love our spouse the same way. We don't try to, we can try to hide, we try to hide ourselves from Yahuwah. But does it work? No, he knows us. The same way that we're supposed to come open to him, flaws and all, same way that person that you love, you're supposed to come to them the same way. We lay down in our lives. Our desire to protect ourselves doesn't outweigh the rights of our loved ones, right? But what we're really afraid of is if they knew the real us, they wouldn't choose us. So technically, we've tricked them into choosing us. Is that the right thing to do? Now, if you've tricked somebody and this person finds out you've tricked them, are you going to continue to have what you had? Oh, you're going to get some papers. Oh, yeah. It's not going to work. So in the end, was it the right thing to do? It wasn't the right thing to do for that person, and you didn't get the outcome you desired. You wasted everybody's time. All right. So fear also causes us to withhold our true selves, because we're afraid that if they knew who I really was, they might not like what I have to offer. I can't take that risk, so I manipulate the information I share so they only see the bright side. Now, those of us in the room that are of a certain age, do we really think that this person only has that one side to him? Nobody really only thinks that it's all sunshines and roses. Do they really? But do we trick ourselves into thinking that? They only see this. Yeah, that's how they see me. They don't think there's anything wrong with me because I didn't show it to them yet. Like, come on, guys. Like, we're fooling ourselves, right? We're trying to play this game, but we're really fooling ourselves. Here's another thing we're afraid of. That if they knew the real me, they'll never be able to get past it. They won't see the changes I'm making. They won't love me. If they knew about my past, that's all they would see me as. Well, I mean, you know, medically speaking. Nothing. Y'all didn't need to hear that. Y'all didn't need to hear that. He did not need a microphone for that. Yeah, we're making the pieces fit, right? All right, let's take a look back at 1 John. Whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his tender affections from him, how does the love of Elohim stay in him? My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue. We talked about this towards the beginning. But in deed and in what? Lies? No, I can't tell you the truth about myself. You won't love me. No. I got to hide what I'm going through because you won't love me. I won't get you, but I got to get you. All right? So it's in not only truth in what we say, but also truth in our deeds as well. We all know about the representative. I'm sending them flowers every couple. This ain't me. This ain't really who I am. I ain't gonna be able to keep this up. Right? Opening all the car doors, right? Till they get with you 2 years later. Well, what? Why are you still in the car? Let's go. I'm in a hurry. Right? You don't want to be like that. Right? All right. But again, we're talking about love, right? Love is full of fear, verse 18. That's not what it says. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. How many of us are truly given perfect love? Everybody loves to receive perfect love. Low. No. This is not an Anita Baker song. Stop it. All right. We're really not giving perfect love when we're withholding ourselves, when we won't be upfront with what we're dealing with, right? And he who fears has not been made perfect in love. Let's look at verse 20. If someone says, I love Elohim and hates his brother, he is a liar. For the one not loving his brother whom he has seen, how is he able to love Elohim who he has not? Well, why are we talking about hating a brother? We're talking about love, right? Go ahead, Aki.
And the other thing is going to be is when you tell your brother or sister things that they may not want to hear, that's still love.
Absolutely.
You know, so they may view it as hate and want to get away from you because you told the truth to them, or you gave them an answer that is going against what they thought. You know, that for that person that's given the truth, the person that's receiving it may look at it as hate, but the person that's given to us saying, this is love. This is a part of love. Chastisement is a part of love.
That's probably going to go into next week's lesson. But
And the opposite holds true. You can be going along with them, and that's you're hating them. You're not telling them what they need to hear. You're telling them what they want to hear. You're trying to placate the situation. So now you're showing your hate towards that brother.
Yep.
I just realized with what the two Morris just said, if you love, you're gonna expose what's wrong in order to fix it so you can get to that place of perfect love. I didn't realize that, because when you don't care, you don't say nothing. You're like, I ain't telling them nothing. So if you don't care, you don't say anything. So that's not love, but love is to having a discussion about it, confronting it, and dealing with it. So I just saw that. So thank you, Maury 1 and 2.
Absolutely. Told our Maureen 1 and 2. All right. So consider this. If you're not being truthful, open, and fair to that loved one, could that not be a form of hating them? And hate's exactly what we want to do, right? Oh, wait, it's the total opposite of what we want to do, right? But yet, a lot of us are hating our loved ones on a consistent basis. We're saying that we love them. We're not acting it out. Not even because we're directly harming them, but because we won't reveal our true selves to them. We're manipulating the situation. We're lying to them. We're letting our fear and our pride take over, and we're hating them the whole time. You've been in this together 10 years. Your heart's still flooded when you see them, right? You love them, can't imagine life without them, and you're hating them at the same time. Hating them at the same time, right? That's not love, Ak. That's not love. People online that heard that side comment, ignore him. That's not love. All right. Hustling backwards. What's that phrase mean to you guys? Hustling backwards. Nobody ever heard that phrase before? Oh, y'all some country Bammers. I don't know what to tell y'all. All right. Hustling backwards. I'm going to make it nice and simple. That's when what you're doing is going to get you the exact opposite of what you're trying to attain. You're hustling too. You're trying hard. But what you're doing is going to get you the exact opposite of what you want. You're hustling backwards. It's an art form. Some people got it down to art form. They find themselves stuck in the same spot over and over and over again. All right. So what happens to us when we're confronted with situations that bring out those issues that we're trying to hide? What are some of the things that we begin to do? Go ahead, Aki.
Some may get angry.
Angry, right? All right, it's your turn. What's another one? Angry and what?
I would say get loud, but that's a part of getting angry. I say just a shift in attitude. Like, let's say you, man, I just can't get the work.
But you're shifting the environment? Okay, go ahead. Hold on, we got one more in the back.
I would come up with a backstory. What? Well, yeah, you probably did, but I'm just saying I came up with a backstory because I didn't want to deal with it.
You didn't want to deal with it, right? So you put a different spin on it.
Yeah.
All right,
Avoidance.
Avoidance. Go ahead, Ema.
I get quiet.
You just get quiet, right? Part of that, also one way of avoidance. Good. Aki, you got the mic in your hand. What you got?
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm? Yeah, it can be. If y'all truly know what sarcasm is. You deflect it back to them, right? Push it back on them. Deflecting, right? All right, so we tend to act out basically in unpleasant ways, right? We argue, we get angry, we withdraw, as some said. We might seek attention from others, trying to make them jealous. We might do things to try to make them prove our love for us, right? Unnecessary tests, right? Yeah. Think about it. Well, I don't do this because I don't care. I ain't gonna trust you no way. So, but if I got trust issues, right? I'm gonna make you try to prove it to me over and over and over again. But the problem with that is I'm never gonna be satisfied because I haven't gotten over my trust issue. Don't matter what you do. If I haven't addressed my issue, I'm making you jump through hoops for nothing. It's a terrible thing to do to somebody, right? But how many of us have found ourselves arguing, getting angry, withdrawing, seeking attention from others, trying to make the other person jealous, right? But if we consider it, these behaviors are all byproducts of the actual issue. They aren't the real us. It's the residue from what we're hiding about ourselves. Now, are any of these responses fair to the loved ones? No, we shouldn't react this way, right? Yet and still, though, when we do this, do we expect them to love us and tolerate us through this foolishness? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. You don't love me if you don't, right? Another way to say that. Yep. If they love me, they should love me flaws and all, because nobody's perfect, right? Now, in a sense, that's 100% correct. They should love you flaws and all, because no one is perfect, right? But here's where the hustling backwards part comes in. If we have a reasonable expectation that they should love us despite our flaws, why make them love us through our unfair trauma responses when they could love you through your actual flaws? Why we put them through a puzzle, right? Just say. But instead, we get wrapped up in something that's not really the issue, and now we done argue with our spouse, we done cause all kind of chaos in our house, but the main issue still hasn't been addressed. So do you think that's going to work? Is that going to resolve the issue, or is it going to be recurring? Because we haven't actually handled the actual issue. We're going to just spin the block all over again, dealing with the same issue. Go ahead, Akeem, what you got?
Yeah. So I was gonna say, if they say love me, flaw and all, the thing about that is and like you said, they can love you through the flaw as long as there is a path to helping you overcome your flaw. So if I say, hey, I see the flaw, but if I'm trying to give you the help, but you don't want the help, you want to keep the flaw, how can they love you through something that you yourself don't want to get rid of?
Yep.
So you have to say, okay, I don't mind going through with you, but I don't want this to be with you for the rest of our lives,
Right.
versus the rest of your life, because I'm still trying to make it about us. But if you're going to make it about yourself all the time, that creates the problem.
Yep. So you haven't laid down your life, you're making it about you, right? And you don't really want to address the issue and deal with the actual issue that you have, right? You knew I was like this when you met me. Actually, I had no clue. I had no clue this is what I was dealing with. Because if I did, I might not have chosen you. That's a 100% fear. But I have every right not to choose you. What I also have a right to is to be with someone I'm actually a match with. Why should I be tricked and stuck in a situation with this person that's not the one for me because they manipulated the situation, when I could be where Yahuwah wants me? But most importantly, you could have the one Yahuwah wants for you. Guess what? There's other fish in the sea. That person that you just, that's worth, stop it. Let's put this in context. I don't want nobody doing something foolish and playing this back. So, just because you desire this person, just because you think they're the catch, Yahuwah knows better than you. Just be you, and he'll provide you the match for you. That's what we have to do. But we got to be open with what we're dealing with and willing to be truthful to that other person. That person might say, hey, I got a lot of strong points. I can deal with a lot of things, but there's one thing I just can't deal with yet. And guess what? You deserve someone who can, because you actually do, right? Go ahead.
When you're saying the last part that you're referring to, though, but this is for someone then that is not married then, because the ones that are married, you can't
Correct.
tell that person,
Correct.
you should be with the one that.
Correct.
It's a wrap.
There's gonna be a lot of paperwork.
Making sure, because somebody say, you heard him. You heard exactly what he said. I can go back out. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You can be who you want to be with. I can be who I want to be with. I'm just telling you.
That last part about you being with the right person is before You've get going into the situation. Once you guys have made that commitment, that person has committed to getting you through. But you got to be honest about what you actually have to get through. I mean, you cannot be with somebody year after year after year after year, tell them that you love them, have children with them, and still not be willing to be truthful about what you're dealing with. You can't do that. At some point, you have to let go of your pride and of your fear. Can fear, I'm going to save it for the table. Can fear and trust in Yahuwah be in the exact same place? No, right? Fear and trust in Yahuwah be in the exact same place. Right? So again, you can't be afraid to address the issues and say that you trust Yahuwah. Because guess what? Yahuwah knows, right? He's like, oh, she about to pick the wrong one. Oh, he about to pick the wrong one. Yep, they done picked the wrong one. There it is. You did it anyway. Yep, I do. You signed it. It is what it is. I knew they was going to do that. Okay. Guess what I got to do now? I got to send some help. So now you trust in Yahuwah. You get rid of the fear. He's going to put into your spouse what they need to help you. Right? So again, but you got to be honest and truthful with that person. That person can't develop the skills in the area he doesn't know that he's lacking in. Because he thinks he's dealing with this issue. So he's just brushing up, how do I deal with X, Y, and Z? And ABC is the problem the whole time. That's not going to work, right? All right. So let them love you despite your bipolar disorder, your anger issues, your trust issues, your controlling spirit, your abandonment issues, etc. Right? Be truthful about what you're dealing with, and they will love you. All right. We started off by talking about verses that just describe love, right? But consider this. Your spouse, your partner, depending on how far you've gotten into the relationship, wants to love you the way the word tells them to. We're talking about people in this walk, right? Every person here wants to love you the right way. You have a right to expect that type of love from them. That's what you should expect, right? But keep in mind that they also have a right to expect to love the real you. Both parties have a reasonable expectation. Don't make them love your residue behaviors. They're going to just learn to tolerate and get through. Like, man, here she go again. Here he goes again. But it's going to be a cycle over and over and over again until you address what the actual issue is. Which means you're going to have to do what? You're going to have to confront the issue, right? So consider this. They are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let man not separate. So when you go into this, now, there's two parts, right? There's two parts. Yahuwah put this together, let them not separate, right? Then there's the part that we mentioned that he asked for clarity on. Some of us put ourselves together, but we're still bound to that commitment that we made. We're still bound to that commitment. So we have to trust in him to make it work. And to recognize, I didn't go into this the right way. I didn't consider everything before I decided to build. But I'm here now. And I trust Yahuwah to get me through it, right? But again, the center of this relationship, no matter how you two got together, is Yahuwah. He's the center of it. Matthew 6:6-8. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and having shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly. You seek, he's going to reward you, right? Therefore, don't be like them. Why? Because your Father knows what you need before you ask him. He knows you're bipolar. He knows you have trust issues. He knows the partner that you need. Trust in him. He knows what you're dealing with. You can try to hide it from that person, but Yahuwah knows. He's going to send you the right person, right? He knows you got anger issues. He knows you got a controlling spirit. He's going to send you the spouse you need to help you get through that.
I was going to share, as you were sharing earlier, about what Elohim puts together, then we'll say some of us may say, well, or some may think about they put themselves together outside of Yah. They weren't in a walk at the time, they did certain things. But the thing about it is, if you both come into the walk and you both agree to the same covenant, same agreement, that's like the remarriage all over again. Because we're all at the mountain. All the Elohim has said. We will do and be obedient. And that's a marriage agreement. So we have to even say that even if Yah didn't put that together, when we came into this covenant together, or one then the other, but we all are coming into this covenant together at some point, that this covenant that Yah has given us, and we agree to all that he says, and we're being obedient to him, we became one.
He's still there.
Just like we're one with him. He's one with us.
So there's no way to escape. You have to do the work. There's no way to escape it. So again, if we believe that Yahuwah has sent the person to be your spouse, don't you think he would send you someone who has the skills or the temperament to love the real you? He knows the spouse that you need. We want someone who will love every part of us, but we won't reveal every part of us. Problem is, we can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. They can't love all of you unless you give them all of you. The real you, not your residue. Right? So, again, this month's about confrontation. So have those conversations. Be honest with yourself. That's the first part. You got to be honest with yourself first. Recognize and admit what you're dealing with. And then be honest with your spouse. Present them with the real you. Some of us have been together years and years and years with the representative, always showing them that residue action, but never really saying, every time you do this, I react this way because it brings up this part of me. They don't really know why they do that. And since they don't know, they can't resolve it. And then y'all just go through the same cycle over and over again. Be truthful with each other. Go ahead, Kid.
And to be honest with you, what this here is, there's no such thing as too late right now.
Absolutely.
So even if you says, hey, this is the real me, you got to start. So if you haven't done it yet, then when you hear it, this is the time you should be doing it now. So that way you guys can start working on it together. If not, the cycle is going to keep going over and over again until you open your mouth and say, this is the problem, this is me. So sure, we're sharing that when we first meet somebody or we first get into a relationship, but also when you've been in that relationship, I don't care how many years you've been into it. The minute you hear this and you recognize that this is true, then you even can start now, even though you've been in a relationship for however many years.
Mm-hmm. Because if you love your spouse, you owe it to them. That's your duty as part of loving them. She's not exhibiting love. She doesn't. Or he. I would never marry a man, so I said she. Dang on it. Leave me alone. Fellas, we're guilty of this as well. All right? But look at the last line, right? They've been waiting to love the real you. They don't want to go through that trauma cycle over and over and over again. How come no matter how hard I try, I can't fix this? Right? Because you're fixing the wrong thing. Right? You got a leak in the upper left-hand corner of the roof, and you keep patching it over and over again. But the problem is you got a pipe loose in the bathroom somewhere. But until you recognize where the actual problem is, you can patch this other thing up over and over and over again. It's going to keep coming back. So you got to be truthful about what you're dealing with. Any questions? All right. So again, that's just one issue about confrontation. So again, confrontation and conflict are not the same thing. If you want to grow, you have to get past your fear of confrontation. You have to address issues head on, and you have to address them in a timely fashion. Right? Now, 3 years is not timely, right? Now, everybody has a different personality type, right? You got to know the person that you're going with. Some people like to deal with stuff the moment they find out about it. I'm a fixer. I got to get on it, right? Some people need time to process. Give them that time, right? But those of us that need time to process can't avoid the issue. We actually have to be processing it, knowing that we're going to come back in a timely fashion and confront the issue. We can't go run and hide. That's not fair.
So we got to give ourselves a time limit. Like,
I would
we'll
openly
talk about
discuss it,
this
yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back to this and visit in 2 days.
Mhm. Yep.
So I got a time limit.
Yeah. And
Versus we'll talk about it later.
right.
And later never comes.
Later never comes. Right. Now, for those of us that like to just take action right away, right? And we know that the other person needs time, understand that every situation for a person that needs time might need different amounts of time. Last time he was ready talking in a day. It's been 2 days. What's going on? They might need a little more time for this one, right? So again, confront the problem. If you're anxious, man, I've been putting this off for 2-3 days now, getting a little more than I can handle. Tell them that. Say, look, I know that you need time to process, but you know that I like to act on stuff, and their need for time and to process doesn't trump your need to handle stuff, right? They can't just have you forever waiting when they know that's the opposite of who you are, because now you're at a disadvantage, right? So you have to confront what's actually going on and have those difficult conversations. No, you did it. Open. Nope. Please pass the mic.
I would say a few weeks ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago, my parents, they've been married for over 50 years, right?
Bless them.
And my mother has been very manipulative over the years, and my father has put himself in a certain position where he deals with her a certain way. Normally I take his side, but for some reason this time I just decided to listen and listen to my mother instead of just harping and jumping, and I decided to listen. And what I started realizing by being a neutral person, not jumping on my father's side, but being a neutral person, is that she had issues from her childhood where she was poor and she didn't have things, and she thought that he was going to say no because she never got anything, so she would use tactics in order to get it.
Right.
And over the years, she didn't even realize she had this problem. So at that moment, she wanted to go into a whole bunch of other stuff. I told him, go get a counselor, get a therapist. This is not for me. So at the end of it, she was very apologetic and crying. And my father, he started agreeing to help to work with her. But she didn't know. After 50-something years, she had no idea. I had to show her how this is manipulative. When you did this, this was manipulative. She was just trying to get what she wanted because she didn't want to be told no. I told her, you have to accept when he says no. And when he says yes, accept that too.
Right, right. Now, let me just add this piece before you go ahead. Let's focus on I want to focus on that word manipulation, right? Sometimes we are purposely manipulating a situation, right? Sometimes it's just a natural defense mechanism, right? You got to know the difference between the two. Because if you're the type that have been purposely manipulating things over and over again, that becomes who you are. And the longer you do that, the harder it's going to be to break. So just be careful. Just be careful. Oh yeah, this ain't new stuff. Just reminders. Go ahead, Aki.
When we think about, like you said, people are different. You said, be honest with yourself. Some people need time to process. Some people want to resolve it right away. If they do recognize that about themselves, they first need to acknowledge that portion, right? Once they acknowledge that, then they need to work together as to how they're going to resolve that. And if they come to that reasoning of how they're going to resolve it, the last thing I want to say, which is the most important out of all that, is you got to respect the resolve. So if something comes up one day and this person wants to resolve it right away, but we've agreed that we'll give 48, 72 hours, but no, I just got to get this done now. and you get angry and get mad at the person, it will create a problem because why? You didn't respect when we were we both were at peace. We were dialoguing this. No difference to if one person says, okay, well, I can give you that time. I'm a person that likes to resolve it right away. This person is not. But we agree that I'll be waiting 72 hours, no more than 4 days or something like that, whatever it is that the person agrees to. They also got to come back and say, I've been waiting on this because when it's ready to resolve, he's waiting. He's looking at that calendar. Yep. Okay. Yep. She said 2 more days. Yep. 1 more day. Or he said this 1 more day. Yep. Today is the day. Today is the day. And then what they do is they wait to 9 p.m. Man, it's not, is she going to bed? You know, y'all still got to communicate. Not, okay, I'm going to talk to you now because why? Because there's some fear that came in because that time has now come. And so people start to try to use that, or he didn't say nothing, so I thought it was okay. You still got to do that because this is the agreement.
You got to honor your agreement. And it's going to take compromise on both parts. This is something that I always try to remind people. You have to compromise on both sides, but don't lie in your compromise. Don't compromise for the sake of moving on. Compromise is something that you are obligating yourself to do, and recognize that. Because you're bound yourself to it. You bound yourself to it. Now, that doesn't mean that you should just, well, I don't agree, and just never find a middle ground. But at some point, you have to find a middle ground, and you have to be truthful and honest in your compromise. All right? No questions? No comments? All right. All hearts and minds clear? All right. Prepare for prayer.
Hallelujah. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam. Todah, Father. We are thankful yet again for your goodness, for your understanding. We are grateful for the word that was shared with us today. A reminder to continually look within. And as we discussed today, just again, we are imperfect, Abba, and we acknowledge that. And we are striving to be mature in your word and this walk with you, but also in the matters of love and understanding. And so, Abba, we thank you for what was brought out today, and for those who received the message, that we rejoice with them, for those who are starting their journey of healing and repairing the breach of miscommunication, and for those who are taking the time to really better understand how to be forthright and transparent. And so, Abba, we thank you today. We also humbly ask for your covering and keeping from terror by day, terror by night, as we prepare ourselves to depart. Pray for your hedge of protection and provision along the way. We thank you, Abba, and for the fellowship that is to take place. We thank you for the hands that labored and prepared the meal to be received. Until we gather and assemble again, Abba Yahuwah, we continually believe in your power, your might. We recognize again that there are matters taking place around us, but we are not to fret, but to be still, and to know that you are in control and all is in your hand. And so it is through HaMashiach Yahushua we yield and give praises unto thee, now and forevermore. Selah. Amen.